We brought in the seeding drone to cover the burnt ground before the rains could wash the soil away. But while we were rushing to help the land recover, we saw something we did not want to see. Tens of thousands of seeds emerging. But they were not our seeds. It was mimosa, an invasive species already preparing to take over the mountain. And suddenly, what began as a post-fire intervention started turning into one of the biggest regenerative drone seeding operations in Portugal. We would need thousands of kilos of seeds and a race against the end of the rainy season. But the real question was, could we use the drone not only to protect the soil, but to influence what grows back next? Welcome to Silvera Tech. We are regenerating 230 hectares of mountain land through reforestation, agroforestry, water management and much more. We are working to turn this degraded land into a resilient living ecosystem. After the fire, the mountain looked still, but it wasn't safe. The vegetation that used to protect the soil was gone. The slopes were exposed. And with the first heavy rains, the soil itself could start washing away. So our first goal was simple: cover as much ground as possible before the weather changed. In episode 26, we were still trying to get this drone off the ground. Mapping, testing, troubleshooting, learning to fly. Everything was new. Now the operation has changed. The drone was flying, the seeds were dropping. The real challenge was no longer whether we could do it, it was how we could use it in the best possible way.
The fire didn't end the mimosa problem. In many places it actually gave it the opening it needed to thrive. Mimosa is a non-native pioneer species. It's a pyrophyte, which means it thrives under conditions where bushfires are a regular occurrence. So when a fire passes through, it triggers the germination process and gives mimosas the conditions it needs to thrive and quickly outgrow native species. In the heat of the moment, our priority was to protect the soil and avoid erosion. But as we looked closer, we verified that the places where these invasive species, non-native species, were dominant, we suddenly had a lot of light, a lot of space, exposed soil. So where there was risk, there was also opportunity.
So we started to plan the second seed mix. The first mix was about protecting the soil, with seeds dedicated to pasture and holding the soil to protect it from erosion. The second mix is about competition, with seeds of fast-growing native plants dedicated to shade out mimosa seedlings with shorter and faster life cycles. Both of them were also carefully selected to improve soil quality. We were not trying to eradicate mimosa with a drone. We were trying to make it harder for mimosa to win the first race. But designing the mix was one thing. Getting enough seed onto the mountain in time was another.
200 kilos of seeds.
Oh, new seeds.
New seeds.
This is mix 2. This is the acacia
Killer.
The acacia killer, yeah. At this point we had seeded around 700 kilograms, but to complete the operation we still needed more than 2,000 kilograms of seed. The problem was that the seeds were not always arriving when we needed them. The weather window was closing, and every new area came with its own limits. Steep slopes, difficult launch sites, drone capacity and fatigue.
We have rain for tomorrow.
Don't fucking start.
No, I'm celebrating.
Don't say anything.
I'm celebrating the rain.
Do not say anything about the weather.
Because if I say it's gonna rain, it's not gonna rain. And then you have to work.
Flying on terrain like this, in a word, feels taxing. It's a huge undertaking, basically.
If you're not aware of it or actually put some thought into it, it's easy to forget all of the logistics and all of the methodology that goes into making sure everything goes right and according to plan. Water.
We're flying this huge piece of machinery, very, very low, just over the treetops. So the collision risk is ever present. We are dealing with signal issues when there's like land in the way, so we have to fly from points where we have a clear line of sight the whole time. Very, very important thing is the batteries only last 7 minutes while the drone is in the air. So in that 7 minutes, we have to get everything that we want to get done in that flight before it has to come back. New battery, more seeds, and then it goes again.
The hardest part physically is carrying all the seed bags, picking them up, loading them, unloading them, loading them again, unloading them again, and then putting them in the drone. So that was a bit tiring, a lot of weightlifting.
And then paying attention the entire time that we're not going to have a collision.
Helicopters, other drones, anything that would be flying in the air. And that was also a bit mentally taxing, but we got through.
Coming back in 2 minutes. Four kilos.
Yeah, that's on target.
Going to the next spot.
Next spot there.
Yeah, going to the next college spot like you always say we do.
When did I first see green on the soil? First couple of weeks after we were sowing, started to see some things sprouting, mostly the grasses, and it was satisfying. It was good to see some green come back into the blackened landscape, see all this contrast starting to appear. Yeah, left me hopeful.
The grasses are the blanket. The legumes are the fertility builders. The radish and mustard are the soil openers. The phacelia brings flowers and pollinators. Together, these mixes are not trying to create a forest immediately. They are trying to create the conditions for life to return. Watching the first green return changed how we understood the drone. The drone was not only helping us cover burnt ground, it was helping us shape the first stage of succession. So the work becomes less about seeding hectares and more about building a living layer over the mountain. One that protects the soil, supports animals and prepares the ground for the next stage of regeneration, and hopefully slows down the mimosa. Maybe we go to 35.
That's what we do when we say seeding.
Yeah, gotta wait on the digger to load up the generator. We could load it up by hand at 250
We're not loading
kilos.
it up by hand.
Yeah, we are.
We're not doing that. Basket, charger, batteries, controller, tripod, extension cable, RTK unit, spare propellers, landing pad, water, hat, bag, cameraman. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, good.
Whatever.
Rum.
Side, yeah, on the main road.
Oh, we are going on the main road then?
Oh, yeah, probably best. I'm thinking.
Is charged?
RTK is probably almost charged, yeah.
Yeah, we're almost done. That's about 40 kilos left. Not counting what's on the drone, in the drone. Well, in the last few days we really got the the flow going. So technically we'd be ready for more. Physically, I'm not so sure. It's a lot of hauling.
Emotionally, we're both done.
Yeah. Full tank or?
Are you excited to open the last bag?
I'm very excited not to see any more bags of seeds anywhere.
Oh.
Very excited about that.
And that's it. We're fucking done! Even if it's not for now.
Aircraft disconnected.
Yeah, good. That's my favourite sound of the day. Aircraft disconnected and no generator sound.
It's gonna be our going to bed ASMR sound.
That can be my alarm clock. Yeah, my going to bed sound, definitely.
That's it. Get some rest, buddy. Oh. These are heavier by the day.
In theory, this doesn't sound like heavy work, but it's really heavy work. We're putting the drone to bed.
It's time to go, man. I wonder where they're at with the fence.
By the end, the numbers were hard to believe. 232 flight missions, more than 2,800 kilos of seeds deployed, more than 120 hectares seeded, 16 hectares in just one day, 68 degrees, the steepest point seeded. What started as a small post-fire intervention now has become one of the biggest drone seeding regenerative operations in Portugal. And sometimes things go just as we wish for. Right in the middle of May, we had a surprise guest, rain, and lots of it. And as we say in Portugal, let me call my Portuguese translator.
My part faz o ano farto, which means a grey May makes a fruitful year.
And may our rainy May bring a fruitful year. This is the kind of long-term experiment we're documenting season after season. If you want to help us keep doing this work, from seeds to tools to operation, and learning what works and what fails, join us on Patreon. Our patrons help us keep changing this mountain for the future to come. Every flight, every bag of seed, every launch site, every difficult slope has added up to something visible. The mountain is no longer only black and bare. On the seeded areas, green is now clearly visible and distinct from the black, naked land. Deers are roaming through these pastures once more. We completed the mission, but the main question, only the future can answer that. Will this living layer be enough to slow mimosa down? Which species will germinate? And what will this mountain look like in the next months? This is what will follow in the next episode. So subscribe if you want to see what happens next. Thank you for being here and see you in the next episode.